Howdy YouTube, and welcome to this episode of the Gunman. So today we're going to be doing a review and demonstration on the new ANi R160. So it's actually a bit of an update to one of my favorite spray guns. So they started off as the R150, then they went R160T I think it was, and this is R160-Q. So basically it's just an update to the previous version. So I love this company, I love this brand, ANi. So they're made in Italy. Good quality, but they're also not overly expensive. That's one of my favorite things about them. So as much as I do get all these spray guns for the channel for free, I still love good value, and I know what these guns are worth, and I know how good they are. So the R150, which I mentioned before, ended up actually getting top spot in my top 8 primer gun review. And look, honestly, it got there on price. So look, there are better guns out there than this, I must admit, but not much better, to be honest, and that's only really on build quality. Like, this thing just, they really do amazing results. Like, you're about to come into the booth with me in a few minutes and see what they're capable of. Now, as I say, there's just a few little build quality issues with these. Now, I must admit, for me, it's never been an issue. I don't go to town with stripping my guns down every single time I spray, but I have actually had some people say that with the original R150s and the original R160s, they had, and I'm about to show you, they had this little part behind the fluid tip which is plastic, and if you undo the fluid tip, it can stop sealing. If you undo it too much, sometimes that seal will stop sealing, so you'll need to replace that seal. But supposedly what they've done with this updated version, they've actually improved that seal. So kudos to you guys there, ANi, and that's part of why I was saying I love this company, because they respond well to criticism and they go and fix things like that. Another thing which you probably see me looking at the moment is just comparing the two air caps, and I did notice straight away, without even putting them up next to each other, I did notice that the diameter of the new one is just a little bit bigger. Now what that ends up resulting in is a fair bit larger of a higher spray fan on this updated version. So I remember the original R150s, of which I've still got a couple, to be honest. I've actually still got a couple up there. I don't use them as much anymore because I usually go straight for these ones, but I've still got them there and they're still working perfectly fine after 4+ years. Now, I do remember the original black R150s had a slightly larger fan, and then with the R160, the original version, it went slightly smaller. Now they've gone even bigger again. So, look, I reckon that's great. I really do like the larger fan on it. It's great for little spot repairs. It's great for doing single panels. So what you see me playing around with there is that seal that I was mentioning, that on the previous version, some people have had go out on them, and I actually did have it just go on one of my R150s. So as I said, I don't usually pull mine apart that often, and I did it once, and then when I put it back together, there was air entering into the paint passage, and you know that that's happening when the gun starts fluttering. So it'll go psh, 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 and you'll have little bits of air coming out when you're pulling the trigger, so it won't be a continual flow of paint coming out of the gun. You'll have little blank spots, if you know what I mean. So that means that air is entering the paint fluid passage somehow. So all I ended up doing is just tighten the absolute hell out of it, and it just managed to seal it up. So not really ideal, but as I say, it's something that you may not want to do that. You may not want to go and tighten it up so hard if you do have one of those faulty seals. So you could either do what I just did, or you could get back in contact with whoever sold them and see if they've got a spare seal hanging around. They probably do, because I know that ANi are well aware of it, so they've probably sent big packs of seals out to all of their distributors. I know that Spray Guns Direct definitely do have some, so if it was them that you got it off and you are having that fluttering issue, just send them an email, and they will probably just put it in a letter, and they won't charge you anything. They'll send it out to you free of charge. Obviously you can put it in and the gun will be like new again. So for those of you at home, there is a big advantage to getting one of these mini guns, and that is the air consumption. So I did just go over to the Spray Guns Direct website, which is where I got this gun again. So if you are interested in getting one of these, be sure to check out the link in the description. But that aside, I did just double check how much air they consume, and it was 3.6 CFM. So that equates to about 100 liters per minute. So to put that into practical use for you guys, I've got this tiny little compressor. It was pretty much like one of the smallest I could get that would still pump a tire up, if you know what I mean. And that's 190 liters per minute. So that should run this all day, really. Like, you shouldn't even have to lose any pressure by rights with that compressor, that tiny little compressor of mine. So that's definitely a big plus of having this gun if you are working at home. If you do just have a small compressor, you would be much better off with one of these kind of guns than you will with a full-size spray gun. And look, as I say, they're made in Italy, so they're made to a reasonable quality standard. Look, they're not the best. Don't expect you to get yourself a top-of-the-line, you know, DeVilbiss, SATA, or even those Segolas. They are really good little mini guns. The Segola Mini Extreme. So I do highly recommend all of those DeVilbiss, SATA, and Iwatas, but you're going to be paying probably around double the price. So if you're on a budget like I am, usually when I buy things, as I say, I do get all these guns for free, but I always do put myself in the position of if I purchased it. And also on the other hand, I actually like, because I know how cheap these guns are, I don't feel that. I use them all the time, and that's why I swear by them so much, because I use them all the time. They always work for me, and they do just as good as a job. I'm like dead set 100% honest with that. They do just as good of a job as the expensive ones. I actually just sat down and did the narration on a video of one of the limited edition SATA jets, and I was saying in that I totally understand. Like, I get it. If you want the best of the best because you really take pride in what you do, I totally get it, and I totally understand where you're coming from, and I'm not taking anything away from having the best of the best tools. I fully understand why you would want to. So yeah, I'm not here to tell you not to get a great gun. I'm just here to tell everyone else, or even you know, this is an option. It's a really good, valid option. You can see here for yourself, they've actually got a really nice large fan on them. So those of you with a keen eye will notice that the fan pattern on the R160 was a fair bit bigger than the R150, which you're about to see me plug in now. So what I'm using there to test the fans with is a mixture of ethanol and demineralized water. So it's like pure water without any of the imperfections in it. So it's not going to do any corrosion or damage the internals of the gun in any way. And the ethanol, which is basically just pure alcohol, that helps clean off any of the residue from some of the water-based paint. So I actually like to leave a couple of drops of that mixture in the gun, and it really does help keep the internals of the gun really nice and clean. I swear it keeps them clean as a whistle. But then just always be careful we've got an air blower that's hooked up near that spray fan that you saw before, and we just give it a blast out just through the chamber to make sure that there's no liquid in there before you go and put your clear coat or whatever it may be into the spray gun. So what you saw me pointing to with my thumb a second ago there, that was the air adjustment valve. So these guns do have a built-in air adjustment valve on them. Now, I do personally like to put my own little cheater valves down the bottom. That's what you see down the bottom there with the gauge on it. So, look, you don't really need it for a gun like this. I've actually found that these guns here, just crank them up full bore and just go hard. Honestly, whenever I'm in the booth, that's all I pretty much ever do, with at least with the clear coat. So I might actually drop that pressure down a little bit when I'm doing some base coat stages, but yeah, for clear coat, crank it up and go hard on it. But yeah, those gauges down the bottom, they are called cheater valves for a reason, because they don't really actually regulate the pressure. Like, they won't keep that pressure at a constant level. That's what the diaphragm regulator is for, that's on the wall of the booth. In this booth, it's actually on the outer wall, so I can't actually show it to you on the inside of the spray booth. But yeah, that diaphragm one, you dial that back down to about 60. I've found 60 is perfect for running 60 psi, that is. So I've found that's perfect for running my air-fed respirator and the spray gun. That'll pretty much get all my spray guns up to 2 bar. And out of all of the spray guns that I find is the most air hungry is the ANi Iwata Supernova. Those things just chew through the air. I can just get them up to 2 bar in this spray booth, and that's with it, yeah, wound open right up. So what can happen if you don't dial it back a little bit is you can overpressure. So when the compressor fills right up, if you go to say set your pressure when the compressor's full, you'll set it to your 2 bar, and then when it starts emptying, your spray gun will start going down. Then you'll set it up, you'll turn your spray gun up, and then the compressor will fill back up again, and then your pressure will go over the 2 bar. So that's pretty much why you want that diaphragm regulator on the wall, and you want to dial that back a little bit. You'll be able to find the sweet spot. It's really not that hard to do. It's one of those things, if you don't have the air-fed respirator as I do, for starters I do recommend having one, especially if you're a career sprayer, but if you don't, you may not need the 60 PSI like I do. But yeah, that's about it for this review there, gunners. Hope you guys did enjoy watching. If you did, give it a big thumbs up. As I say, there will be a link down in the description of where to get one of these guns if you are so interested, but don't feel as if you have to support the channel. As usual, your views are enough, and yeah, I really am thankful for everybody who does watch my videos. The fact that this is a successful channel has completely changed my life. Everyone who watches, everyone who leaves a comment, everyone who drops a like down the bottom there, and especially a big thanks to everyone who's gone and bought all the spray suits lately. You've actually pretty much sent us out of stock, so there is some more coming in soon, so be sure to keep an eye out for that in the coming months. So if you can't get your hands on one of those spray suits, it shouldn't be too long until we do get more coming in. I'd like to say a big thanks to everyone for watching, and if you'd like to support the channel further, you're more than welcome to go over and check out some of the merchandise we've got. My personal favourite is those spray suits, so they're a good quality Colad branded spray suit with the Gunman logo on it. There's also hats, drink coolers, hoodies and t-shirts, so be sure to go over and check out the link in the description if you are interested. All that aside, I'd just like to say a big thanks for watching, and that is enough to support the channel. But as I say, if you'd like to go the next step, then be sure to check out some of that merchandise. Thanks for watching, and until next time, get out there and paint some shit. Gunman out.